if I told you, in the middle of the Vietnam War, some soldiers believed they were not the top of the food chain? What if I told you entire units reported something moving around them, not attacking, not retreating, just staying with them? And what if I told you some of those men didn't remember it as an encounter, they remembered it as a siege? Welcome back. Tales from the Road. Absent is L29 and my buddy Tadpole. Tadpole Trucker has had a baby, which is great news, and everything went well. And L29 is sleeping, most likely. It is really late. Tonight we're not on the highway. We're somewhere worse. A place where you don't see danger coming. You feel it. This episode is built from real accounts, real soldiers, and real fear. And something that doesn't fit into anything we understand. They call them rock apes. The jungle in Vietnam wasn't just terrain. It was pressure on your body, on your mind, on your sense of reality. Witness account. You never got dry. You never got quiet. You never got comfortable. Sleep came in pieces, and when it did, it didn't feel safe. Another witness. You'd wake up not knowing if you heard something or dreamed it, and slowly that line started to disappear. The first real sign wasn't what they saw. It was what followed them. We'd moved for hours, a witness said, and it felt like something was pacing us. Not the enemy, something else. Just staying off to the side, ever watching, ever waiting. Not rushing, not hiding, keeping distance. It wasn't like being hunted, it was like being monitored. That word comes up again and again. Monitored. Like something was studying them. The first attacks. Then came the rocks. At first, one or two, then more, then too many. They weren't random. They were hitting near us, not just anywhere, near us, like warning shots. We fired into the tree line, nothing came back, but it didn't stop. No return fire, no movement, just impact. Night watch, 3:12 a.m. No sound. That's wrong. That's how they knew. Something shifts in the trees. Not fast, but deliberate. Then another. Then another. And then from behind, the rocks come. They slam hard against the metal and the equipment, hitting some of the soldiers in the back of the neck. Breathing. Then from the left. Then from somewhere they couldn't see at all. Multiple directions at once. That's when it changed. That's when it stopped feeling like harassment and started feeling like control. See, the soldiers knew that there was enemy in Vietnam, and they knew they were up against a formidable foe. Many soldiers died in this war. Friends, brothers, fathers, sons, daughters. But the thing about it is when they went into this jungle, they did not know that they would also be up against a rock ape or a hairy-like creature, a cryptid. All along the world, there's these reports of different styles or shapes or iterations of this creature. This is no different, except for these were called rock apes. They would throw rocks at the soldiers. They would always try to monitor them and pace them, and it was almost like a warning to get out of a territory that they were in. There were hoops, there were hollers, but these were in between the battles and the long movements that platoons and battalions would have to take through the jungle. When they saw them, the sightings didn't happen all at once. They happened in flashes, just enough to stay with you. A witness account says, I saw it standing there, not hiding, just there. Tall, wide, not shaped like anything they expected. Another witness claims it didn't run right away. It watched first, then it moved. And then when it moved, it didn't sound like anything moving through the brush should. Too quiet. It covered the ground faster than anything that size should be able to do. But the part that stayed with them, the eyes. A witness accounts, I knew it was looking at me and it didn't care. Not fear, not aggression, but awareness. These creatures would stalk these GIs, but then they would reveal themselves and not move. They wouldn't care that they were being observed, that they were showing themselves and they were being watched. These creatures have been in this region for thousands of years, undisturbed, undeterred. The locals know about these creatures. The GIs were warned and briefed. This is on record, and you can look this up. But yet they go in there with the mentality, yeah, right. The siege mentality. By this point, it wasn't one encounter. It was consistent. Movement at night, sounds circling the camp, rocks, again and again. One witness says, we stopped thinking it would go away. We started thinking it was staying. And that's when the word started spreading. Siege. Not an attack, not a chase. A presence that didn't leave. That was ever there. Always watching, always waiting. Something that you can't just get rid of overnight. Something that wasn't the enemy. No fire, but rocks. Breathing, sounds, movement, shadows. And sometimes the creature would reveal itself. As the GI would see it, it would just stand there and not move. A witness says, the eyes were yellow mixed with red. When my light shined on it, it held its hand up, almost like the light hurt its eyes, and then it went behind a tree and vanished. The breakdown happened when the sleep got worse. Nerves got worse. You're already fighting a war. You're already fighting an enemy. And now you have to fight these creatures, or the mentality of these creatures, with rocks and certain things being thrown at you and being monitored and observed in a siege. You'd hear something, a witness said. You'd turn and nothing was there. Then you'd hear it again right behind you. Men started doubting their own senses, and they started doubling the watch shifts. Weapons never lowered. But not for the enemy, but for another enemy. One that was seen but unseen. One that remained in the shadows but revealed itself at the same time. The rock ape, what they called it, the GIs. Another witness said, "You felt like you were being surrounded, even when you couldn't see anything. And the worst part, it never fully showed itself. Only pieces, only parts. Only the eyes or the hand or a shoulder." They'd move off back into the woods, so quietly and so distinctly that nothing was heard, but this creature was huge. 6, 5, 700 pounds, 6 foot to 8 foot tall. Some were 5, maybe juveniles. Some GIs reported their food would be missing if they left it out, but not by animals, almost as if it was carried away. An animal would leave debris or a mess. The unanswered part. There is no official confirmation, no documented species, but the accounts stayed consistent. Different units, same descriptions, same behavior, same feeling. The final descent. Deep in the jungle, slow. These distant calls echo again. And maybe that's what makes this worse. It didn't act like an animal, and it didn't act like an enemy. It acted like something that understood them. Something that knew that they weren't supposed to be there, fighting this war with these other people who weren't supposed to be fighting this war. Almost like they were protectors and guardians of the jungle, or they had surrounded these GIs and the other enemy combatants to let them know that this was not their jungle, but it was theirs. And it always have been theirs. Wars end, but the jungle stayed. And whatever was out there stayed with it. Because for the men who were there, the enemy wasn't the only thing that they remembered. It was the feeling that something was still watching them after they left. This has been Tales from the Road, your guy on the road. And sometimes the scariest things don't chase you. They just stay close enough to remind you you were never alone. Guys, you can catch me on talesfromtheroadmedia@gmail.com, yourguyontheroad@gmail.com. Send me your stories. Go to the Facebook group, Tales from the Media, Tales from the Road Media Facebook, Facebook group. Tales from the Road _media, so TF Tales from TFTR _media at Reddit. I appreciate your time. And when something's in the woods and you think you're alone, but you might not be, and you're sitting around a fire talking to each other, you might be telling a tale from the road. Till next time, guys, survive and stay alive. Peace.